Hi, seventh graders. This is Mrs. Martin, and I'm here for your first book talk of the seventh grade year. I'm excited to be sharing some, spooky books for the month of October. And the first one I'm sharing comes from our fantasy section, as do a lot of these books, actually. Fantasy and mystery are both going to be featured pretty heavily in this month's book talk. But as you know, we have so many great books in our library that would fall under different genres. So just know that this one is going to lean more heavily on those two genres. I know that the library is not open in the same way that we're accustomed to from last year, but a reminder that available on the library homepage, you can find videos about how to put a book on hold. And it's a very easy process. Usually within 15 to 30 minutes, Mrs. Kump will have a book ready for you to come down and pick up. So let's go ahead and get started and get you some new ideas of books to read. The first one is called I Heart You, You Haunt Me by Lisa Schroeder. This book is written in that free verse poetry style, even though it's written as a story. It's not a poetry book. But this story gives you this idea of, what if the person that you loved was lost to you? The person died, but then they weren't really lost at all. That's the story for Ava. Ava meets Jackson and falls for him, and then Jackson dies. And then she gets a chance to actually reconnect with Jackson again. She can't see him, she can't touch him unless she's dreaming, but it's as though he's back from the dead in these dreams. She gets an opportunity to still see him and be with him in dreams, as kind of this ghost-like figure. Most people would think she's crazy. She knows he's there, and it's proof that love really can't, be broken by the bonds of death. If you like a story with some romance and this ghost-like element, it's not a scary story, obviously. Try this one out by Schroeder in the fantasy section. Wikipedia by Chris Van Etten is perfect for those that like a story involving, some cyber crime or cyber scary. Cole and Gavin love to play practical jokes through Wikipedia. They edit articles on there, and then they watch their classmates just freak out when they get up to give reports and all the facts are wrong. And they one day play this prank on a soccer player at their school. This soccer player has stolen Cole's girlfriend, and the guys decide to take their revenge by creating a Wikipedia page for him. And the page is just full of all this information about how this soccer player has died this terrible death on the soccer field, right? Completely made up, absolutely outlandish. And it's all in good fun until the soccer player actually is killed in a freak accident, just like Cole and Gavin predicted. The boys get scared. They decide, of course, they're going to leave Wikipedia alone. But then someone continues to edit articles about classmates dying in these gruesome ways, and the entries start to come true. And then Cole discovers someone's created a Wikipedia article about him and predicted his day of death. And he's scared that it's about to come true. Love the suspense of this story. Wikipedia by Chris Van Etten in mystery. The Haunting of Sunshine Girl is a very popular fantasy series. Something freaky is going on at Sunshine's new house. We're going to watch a short trailer about this story. This was based on a YouTube web series at first, so that's where this trailer comes from. But of course, that video link isn't going to work, even though it worked a few days ago when I tried it. So never mind, I'll just tell you a little bit about the story. Sunshine has all these weird things happening in her house. There's a chill that's unexplained. Doors are opening and closing. There are strange shadows all over. She hears giggling in the middle of the night. The more weird stuff that happens, though, the less her mom believes her. And so even though Sunshine has always sort of been pulled back into the past in certain ways. It seems as though there's something lurking in this new house. And I should say it's new to Sunshine and her mom. It's a very old house, though. It seems to have a lot of history, and she believes it's haunted. If there is something or someone haunting this house, what do they want? And what will they do if Sunshine can't help them? That's the first book, The Haunting of Sunshine Girl, and as you can see, it is part of a 3-book series. This is a fabulous read. If you like a good ghost story that's going to get the hairs on the back of your neck standing up, try this one out. Death by Bikini is part of a series as well by Linda Gerber. Afra is our main character, and she seems to be living the life that most of us would absolutely be jealous of. She lives on a remote tropical island, and her dad runs this ritzy hotel. She basically gets to live the life of a vacationer all the time, other than helping her dad out with the hotel sometimes. But because it's a remote island, she doesn't have a lot of people that she connects with, right? It's the guests come to the island, they stay for a while, and then they leave. And so Afra doesn't really have friends. This changes, she thinks, when a guy by the name of Seth arrives with his parents, and she feels immediately that they have this connection. He does seem a little bit guarded. You know, it seems like he's not telling her everything about himself. She asks him some questions about his past, and he kind of shuts her down. And so it seems like maybe there's some things he's not telling her, but she can't help but feel very drawn to him. And then another guest there on the island turns up dead on the beach, strangled by the strings of her bikini top. And Afra can't help but think it's a bit coincidental that Seth and his parents, who seem shrouded in mystery, showed up just before this incident happened. Nothing like this has ever happened on the island before, and now you've got this mysterious family and a murder. Is it possible Seth and his parents are responsible? Afra's going to put these clues together and solve the mystery with or without Seth's help. Death by Bikini is the first in this series. It's a nice, perfect escape, especially as the weather gets colder here, to be on an island in these books. If you're looking for something a bit more realistic, we're now going to move away from the spooky stories or the mystery stories. Although this one, has some very upbeat parts to it, but it starts with what could be a tragedy. Nora's whole world seems to be plummeting faster than the cyclone roller coaster, where her cousin Riley falls into a coma. Nora thinks it's her fault that this happens to Riley, even though the doctors insist Riley had a heart condition, it could have happened at any time. Nora just is certain that what happened right before that is what led to Riley falling into this coma. As Riley comes out of her coma, Nora realizes Riley is not really Riley at all. She's not quite herself. She's not as loud or as funny. She used to be so talkative, and now she really can't talk, let alone go to the bathroom by herself. Nora feels responsible and thinks she knows how to help get Riley back. This is the story of these two cousins who have been so close, with one feeling so guilt-ridden and the other trying to get better. A lot of the story is set in the hospital, which seems like kind of a downer, but truly it is an uplifting story and one that's well worth the read. This is by Doreen Cronin, and it's realistic fiction. Zenobia July by Lisa Bunker has been on my list for such a long time, and I've just barely started, so I'm hoping that this one sounds as good to you as it did to me. This is a mystery story about Zenobia, who is starting a new life far from where she'd been. She was living with her dad in Arizona and has now moved to Maine to live with her aunts. She used to spend most of her time behind a computer screen doing a lot of coding and hacking into different systems, has a lot of technology skills. Now she is discovering a new group of friends at a middle school where she is at in Maine. And people used to tell her that she was a boy, but now she's able to live openly as the girl that she always knew she was. At this middle school, somebody anonymously posts hateful memes on the school's website, and Zenobia knows she's the one with the abilities to solve the mystery. So it's partly about her using what she has as these hacking skills to solve the mystery at her school. But it's also her wrestling with the challenges of being new to school, a new family structure, and then coming to grips with presenting her true gender for the first time. Try this book out, Zenobia July by Lisa Bunker. One other thing I wanted to mention before we give a few extra tips and leave you with that is that there are so many great books on our Mac and Via website. It's available as the app on your iPad. You can also go straight through our library homepage and access the website there. This is a way for you to read ebooks on your iPad. So if you're not placing books on hold from the library, you can still read books using your device. And I wanted to show you just one example. This is a Halloween book that I pulled up called Electric Zombie, Pleased to Eat You. It's kind of a graphic novel comic mix. But I just wanted to show you real briefly here how you can access these books, whether it's through the app or through our homepage. If you go to the Library Media Center homepage like I'm doing here, and I go to Mac and Via, click on our District 196 ebooks. A reminder that to log in, you want to be sure that you have selected Valley Middle School of Apple Valley. And then with login, you're using your student ID for your username and your CoLab password. Teachers and staff members have to use a different login, but students use their ID. There are lots of different ways to search for books using Mac and Via, and again, there's a video link on our homepage where I've walked through a few of those ways to do some searching. You can search by groups, by categories, you can look by reading level over here. I decided just because it is the month of October and so many students are already asking for books about Halloween, I thought I'd try searching that. One thing that came up was this book called Pumpkinheads, which is a graphic novel by Rainbow Rowell. Another one, or another way you can search, is by categories. And we could do a little supernatural search that way to look for some of these spooky stories. And you get a chance to look by cover of the book to find something that looks good to you. So just know that there are so many ways that you can go about finding good books to read. Take some time to browse around in the ebooks. This was one called Electric Zombie, Pleased to Eat You that I thought looked kind of fun. Just some other helpful tips. A reminder to please stop down to the library if you have questions. I know that you're not able right now to browse the shelves the way that we would have liked it to start this way this school year, but both myself and Mrs. Kump would love to help you. So stop down if you have questions or need some help. Something to keep in mind when you're doing a search, if you search a title and multiple listings come up, it may be because some of them are print books and others are audiobooks and others are ebooks. So if you're placing a book on hold, be sure that it is the print book, and you know that it is because it's got a little paper, an actual book icon there next to the title. Another thing to take note of is that books might be part of a series. So be sure that if you're requesting a book, if you take note of the fact here that this is book number 2 in the series, this is book number 1, this is book number 3. I'm not sure why Destiny Discover does it this way, but they do. They don't always list them in order. So just be aware, if a student places this book on hold, we probably would ask them when they came down, have you read book number 1? And last but not least, a friendly reminder to wait for that Schoology message before stopping down to get your book. I know that when you actually hold the book on the catalog, it will automatically come up with a message that says something like, hold is available, or your book is ready for pickup. But it does that just to tell you that the book's on the shelf. Mrs. Kump is the one that's going to send you that Schoology message, and that's the way that you know the book is actually ready for you. As always, please let us know if we can help you with anything, and in the meantime, happy reading.